Welcome to another version of Lee's Open Mic, and today we got our buddy Greg Morton, who is hanging out with me. Greg, good
Lee,
to see you.
Nice to see you, my friend.
Greg, one of our favorites, who has an epic performance each and every time I see the show, and I mean this. It is odd, and I'm very jealous, and I say it out of envy. I've never seen a guy get as many standing ovations as you do. I don't know if it's because of the amazement. It's maybe they're just sad for you, but whatever it is,
or maybe they're getting
the
up
audience
to
is
pay
love,
their
and I know what it is.
check.
I mean, it's the talent and it's the energy, but you bring a certain amount of energy to each and every performance.
I don't even know how I do it, really. I know I do. I have an espresso with 3 or 4 Red Bull chasers, but other than that, I think there's a lack of entertainment, like real entertainment.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's by default.
Yeah.
They've never seen a guy stand on stage with his voice amplified, is what
No.
Greg is saying. It's just like they're plotting just the electricity alone.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Shiny lights, objects, it'll get them every time.
No,
right?
it is talent.
Okay.
You and one of the things that is different for you, I mean, you're like a sort of a triple threat kind of guy. There's a lot going on. There's impressions. Yeah,
There's singing, there's dancing.
It's a big show. And I've always said that is that you seemed like you were perfectly suited for some sort of Las Vegas showcase.
Yes. 30 years ago.
That's a Vegas I love. I don't care about that Cirque du Soleil crap. I want to see you.
Yeah, like all these people going around and contorting themselves and sticking their foot between their legs and over top of their head and stuff.
I don't care about
What kind of a show is that? It's Zoo-manity. Ooh, do you see how we did that?
Yeah.
We took the zoo and the humanity
Yeah,
and we put them together.
We're contorting ourselves with our tops off
We're
now.
even contorting our words, for goodness sakes. It's fantastic.
So, Gregory, you grew up in Canada?
Can you believe that?
No.
I got in here, I don't know how. I think it's because I just look like an American.
Yeah.
And they checked me at the border, and everything's fine, and here I am. It's a bit of a commute, but that's where I grew up.
Yeah.
And we've always been observers looking at what happens here in the United States.
Right.
I've always wanted to come here. Always watched American television and that.
What part of Canada?
Do I have to narrow that down because I have stalkers? I'm going to say Toronto. I live in Toronto in a large building. You've heard of it?
All right, yeah. But you still reside there now?
Yeah, I play street hockey no, I don't. I still live there now, yeah. Yeah. Have you ever been to Toronto at all?
No. Well, I've been to, was it Nova Scotia? Is that right?
Oh, that's not even close.
No, I know it's not close, but that's up,
It's
northeast.
east, yes.
Yeah, I was on a cruise ship, and I stopped off there where they brought the survivors from the Titanic. No, they didn't bring the survivors. They took the dead over there. The survivors went to New York. It was the dead people we took to Nova Scotia. That's right.
And that was your audience.
Yeah, that was my audience. Yeah. Speaking of which, you brought this topic up. In the comedy business, you see a lot of diverse things happen while you're on stage.
A lot.
Worst gig for you?
Worst gig for me. Okay, this is a good one. I'm in a one-nighter in Canada, Western Canada, and
Lumberjacks.
Oh yeah, lots of them.
Yeah.
And
that's just the women.
So I go in there. The manager says to me, "I'm going to give you this cordless microphone. It's a big deal, He says, "You know how much these things are?" I said, "Yeah, they're about $1,000." He says, "Yeah, well, don't break it. The comedian that was here last week, he broke the microphone, so don't break the microphone." Okay, I got it. I go out there. I'm into my gig. 2 minutes, nobody's listening. 3 minutes, nobody's listening. So I decide to improvise. There's this guy, and he's talking, and he's flailing his arms around.
They're listening to him.
Well, maybe they are. But I get everybody in the audience to start looking at him, and they start laughing. And I go like, this guy, comedy gold. I got this guy. I've got a human prop. So I start working with this guy. He says, if you don't go back to your little act, I'm gonna. Why is it always your little act?
Yeah, right.
Why do they? What do they mean when they start and hear something?
Right.
I'm gonna take that microphone and stick it where the sun don't shine.
Yeah.
And as he's saying that, he wraps his hand around the microphone, and he snaps the top off like it's a carrot, and you hear this crunch. And I hold up the microphone to show the manager at the back of the room, and you can see him. He goes like. It was almost like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. I went like, "Oh, Mr. Manager."
Yeah.
You know?
That's $2,000 now.
So then I hear this rip, and he grabs me by the shirt, and it's go time. I don't know how to
Wait a
fight.
minute, the patron, the audience
Yeah,
member, has
the
grabbed you?
patron, the guy who I was making fun of. He decides he's going to fight me. So he's going, and I'm doing the windmill. That's my gig.
Yeah.
You know, whenever I get into a fight to protect myself.
Yeah, right.
Danger, Will Robinson. And then he, they got 4 guys. 2 of the biggest guys came over and they go like, settle down. I go, oh, okay. You know, look at me. I weighed about like 120 pounds at the time.
Yeah.
And they go like, and then it took 7 other guys to hold this other guy down. They had to call in the Mounties.
Ooh.
To stop this whole thing. And then after that was all done and they carted him off to jail, I still had to do my show. But there was no microphone, so I had to do it from the DJ mic.
So that's not,
The little
the little thing that doesn't move.
Yeah.
So you got to stand, like now it's a pulpit.
Yeah.
Now it's a Sunday sermon.
Exactly. But they wouldn't laugh. They only would laugh when I talked about almost getting my butt kicked.
That reminds me, Seinfeld, I remember, talked about a gig he did once where he asked about a microphone, but they wouldn't let him use, he was opening for a band. You can't use the band's equipment, you know.
Right.
You can't use the microphone. We got a microphone for you down there. So you had to go off the stage, but the microphone was plugged into the wall. Mm-hmm. So he said, I had the choice of either being heard or seen. So I'm off stage, and in order to tell my jokes, I would have to go, hey, you know, I would have to do with my back to the audience. I mean, people have no idea.
They have no idea.
Some of the situations. And when you do a private gig, you have to ask a litany of questions just because people think comedy can happen anywhere.
Yeah, they think it's magic. They think it's unicorns and rainbows.
And they don't realize it is a very vulnerable psychological experiment that's taking place where you have to put people in a place where they're very attentive. Otherwise, it's a disaster.
I love how you describe it. You said, what is it, a psychological experiment?
Yeah.
That it started with your parents and then kind of worked its way up through there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, either you got too much love or none. That's really the spectrums that bring guys to the stage.
That's true. Where do you fall in that?
Oh, too much love.
Too much love?
They love me up. They told me I could do anything.
Yeah.
And I've been chasing that ever since.
Not enough love for me. And I don't know
that.
why, but not.
So
never
you were
enough love for
ignored.
me.
So you were desperate to get attention.
But
That's
my
why you're on
parents thought
stage.
they were doing me a favor. They go like, well, you know, we don't want him to get too clingy.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want him to, you know, stand up on his own. I really needed a lot of attention. I don't know, but nature of the beast.
But there is something psychologically broken about a comic. Why else would you stay on stage and risk what is inevitably, at one night or another, going to be humiliation? Most normal people don't want to do that.
In front of complete strangers. I don't get that.
Yeah.
And the feeling is crushing, isn't it?
Oh, it's nothing worse.
When you die or you start bombing,
The only good thing about it, Greg, is that at least there's a camaraderie between guys like you and I. Because I can tell you, in maybe 2 words, what that audience is. You can look at me and I don't even have, like if I'm coming off stage and you're just coming in the room and you go, how are they? And I go,
yeah. Many times we've
or
done
I can
that.
go, whoa, yeah, we've done that.
Yeah.
Where do you go? Oh, yeah.
I'll go like, what's the weather report, Lee?
Yeah.
Give me the weather, you know, and then
And
you
I go,
yeah, right.
Don't go up there, Greg. Save yourself.
Should I start the car now? Is that what I should?
Greg Morton, again, if you ever get a chance to see Greg on the road anywhere where he's performing, don't miss that opportunity because he's just fantastic. Good to see you, buddy, as
Thank you,
always.
Lee. I appreciate it.
All right, that will do it from Lee's Open Mic. We'll see you later.